can you differentiate scene and god, please?
Yeah, this is scene, and then let me think of a good example for you. Like Raven from from Teen Titans is a goth.
You were gonna say from That's So Raven, which was gonna be the hottest take of the year 2020. Layla's left the screen, everyone. Layla's just gone.
I was about to say that. I'm so sorry.
Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Leyla.
And this week, we watched the 2001 anime adaptation of Shaman King, in which a 14-year-old boy named Yo wants to be the very best, like no one ever was, to catch them is his real test, to train them is his cause, but with ghosts. Remember, you can help us on Mortified Legitimacy Quest by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, signing up for our newsletter, or following us on Twitter at MortifiedPod. Leyla.
Did you not read that intro?
No, I did read it, but I was shocked nonetheless.
Alright.
Leyla, so this week, you know how a couple episodes back you made me watch the 2004 anime Princess Tutu, and it was like one of the less enjoyable experiences in my life. I feel like this is my revenge episode for you making me watch that, because this is Shaman King is a very similar vein to Princess Tutu. Do you want to try to summarize it real quick?
Mm-hmm. So it's about a 14-year-old boy named Yo, who is a shaman, which in this context means he can use ghosts like Pokemon. His main ghost is Amidamaru, his guardian spirit is what they refer to it as. He's a legendary warrior who could have gone to heaven with his big soft boyfriend, but instead became a ghost Pokemon. There's also a sidekick character named Mortimer, whose Japanese name is apparently not Mortimer.
It's
who
Manta.
It's Manta,
yep.
Who functions as an everyman, and everything he says, I'm like, mood, because he's supremely confused through the whole show, and I'm like, me too.
Yeah, dog.
And then Yo is being trained by his friend Anna? I don't know if she's his friend, because some people say they have, like, weird romantic tension, but I don't see it.
No, she's, like, canonically his fiancé.
Okay, yeah, she's canonically his fiancé to compete in the Shaman King tournament, something that happens every 500 years, and I watched 18 episodes of the show, and I have no idea why Yo is doing this.
Yeah, I think there's a subplot, like, I think he has an evil twin brother that is, like, also trying to be in the Shaman tournament, and I think that's, like, the final boss of the series. I don't remember. I was 10 when it aired. But yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so what are your initial impressions? Just real quick thumbs up, thumbs down, if that's possible.
I feel like I got to know you better.
That's unfortunate for me.
I feel like I, you know, there were definitely moments where it's like, I could see it. And then I was mostly confused.
Yeah, I mean, it is not a coherent show, I would say. I mean, for some context, like, this show looks like it was made on a budget of about $112. The animation is very bad. The voice acting is just a whole 20-minute diatribe we'll get into in a sec. And, I mean, I don't know if it's just the way that it was adapted into an anime, but in the manga, I thought it was much more coherent. Again, I read the manga when I was 10, so it's been a while, but, like, it is so wild. The pacing is all over the place. They introduce new characters, Deus Ex Machina left and right. You know, they barely give you 2 sentences to explain, like, entire world-building concepts. It is wild. It is not the show I remember, but I think, honestly, like, they're rebooting it next year. You know, God willing, the creek don't rise. But, like, I will watch the reboot, because, like, watching this show brought back so many, like, weird 4th grade memories, and, like, I despite all the bad jank that came with this, I really liked this rewatch. And I mean, I'm sorry if you didn't have a great time, but I loved this. I do not regret rewatching Shaman King.
I mean, like, it would be a lie to say that I wasn't invested, but it did take me a long time to get invested, and
I agree.
I will tell you, I demand that we watch the first arc of the reboot together and talk about it.
Oh, absolutely, because I want to see how they do some of this stuff. Just like...
Yeah, because, I mean, like you said, it was a show made on a budget of about $112, and I say that as an industry professional. Which, side note, active industry professional, that's why we didn't have an episode last week. Your girl got a new job, sort of. New job,
up?
Whatever, it doesn't matter. We don't have to get into it. You can
Applause.
check my Twitter.
Applause goes here.
Yay! You can check my Twitter if you want details on that. But, you know, I made a note about this, but I recently rewatched an anime called Kaicho wa Maid-sama because it popped up on Netflix, and I used to, when I was little, you could either let me loose in the library or let me loose in a Barnes & Noble, and I would always find something. And in the library, we had a whole section of, like, shoujo manga of, like, questionable quality. Kaicho wa Maid-sama was one of these, and I didn't know it had an anime until probably 3 years ago when I watched it with my roommate. And so I remember, it was one of those things where, like, I remembered it being this, like, really cool story about this girl who's, like, she hates boys, and she's, like, trying to transform the school that was, like, recently an all-boys school into a girl's paradise. And she's very strict, and she's very funny, and her family's very poor. Just because her dad dipped on a bunch of debts. Which is why she hates men. And she has to work on, like, mood. Same.
Listen to Agretzko.
She has to work at a maid cafe to make ends meet for her family because her mom is sick. And it's like this very funny story, and this like rich dude, like Tamaki style, falls in love with her. And I remembered it being like funny and cool. I watched the anime, and then I also reread the manga. It does not hold up. I regret to inform you, the relationship is very controlling and unhealthy. And the anime was made, if this was made on a budget of $112, it was made on a budget of $30.
Oh, no.
Literally, I mean, like, kudos for making that level of, like, cheap animation what it was, but, like, the thing only had one season and didn't even mention the fact that the love interest, whose name escapes me, is wealthy, which is, like, but it hints at it in the end credits, so I'm like, you were clearly going there, but you're not doing it. But, so, you know, I have no problem with, like, I still watch the whole season, I have no problem with, like, limited animation, but this was, you know what this needed, in my opinion, to make the sort of limitedness of it work, was it needed a real magical girl transformation sequence for Yo.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, there is, like, a little bit where he, like, brings Amidamaru and he does, like, a little dance, he's, like, spirit form unity or whatever. But, yeah, it could have had a little bit of extra... extra sauce on that particular biscuit, but like that's the thing people say.
I like that. That's good.
But like, I mean, as we were talking about, right, they just didn't have the budget for like any frames, like, so I don't think that would have happened. But like, let's try to set up a couple of the characters first, and then we can get into the production shit.
Fair.
So like, the main character Yo Asakura is like this like wannabe rock star guy who also can talk to ghosts. He's, a typical shoujo or shonen hero. He's a slacker, but he's also, like, super gifted, and through the power of friendship, he's able to, meet new friends and turn bad guys into allies. I mean, it's nothing novel. It's nothing new. The only, like, real cool, interesting thing about this universe is that, like, ghosts are, like, they're a set of people who can see ghosts, and they're trying to, collect them like Pokemon, as you so aptly put it, and use them in a big tournament in order to become, like, the God King, Ghost God King for 500 years or whatever. And, like, there is some sort of, like, there is some hinting at, like, oh, the old ways are going away, and, like, they're trying to, like, reestablish what it means to be a shaman in this modern era. There's a scene that did not age well with a couple of Native American shamans who are, like, selling trinkets in Tokyo. It's like... this might be something if it wasn't a gross stereotype, but unfortunately, yeah, the way they treat Native Americans is it is stereotyping them. It's not like being cruel or like rude to them, but it is just like, yes, this is Silva. He has long hair and he speaks like a typical Native American in Western media, and his spirit animals are literally spirit animals like the buffalo and the snake and the eagle and that coyote. I
am running away from this character description with all the swiftness of a coyote.
Yeah, it's a lot. The 2001 was a different time, and we didn't have a lot of respect for indigenous people, only their aesthetics.
No, questionably still don't.
Yeah, that's fair. There's Morty, who you establish as the short little guy everyman who's like Yo's best friend and is sort of like his only friend at school. Although there is a section where they just like don't go to school for like several months, so I don't understand.
Does Morty live with them now?
He like literally he lives with them for so long, until like the part where I told you to like stop watching, because like I watched a little bit after that, and like Yo is like, oh, since you got hurt in this fight, I don't want you to like hang out with me anymore. And like Morty goes back home, and it's like, to who? His parents think he's dead. Like he hasn't been home in 2 months. Like he just lived with Yo and Anna for a while, which is wild. Anna is Yo's aforementioned fiance. She's like really pushy and, supposed to be like a bossy archetype, but like, has a heart of gold, really does care for Yo. She's a spirit medium. She's the only person with any brain cells in this show, as far as I could tell. I love her. She's great. And then there is Amida Maru, who is Yo's guardian ghost, who's just the ghost of like a samurai from the 15th century who is in love with his like sword making boyfriend, who like there's like a whole... Leyla, you are notorious for talking about how people made things gay. There's like the whole first like 2 episodes are about how Amida Mario doesn't want to like move on because his boyfriend is like crying over his sword because he didn't give him his sword in time or whatever, and it's just like it is a wonder that I came out as a heterosexual after all this media.
It really is. Watching this show, I was like, curious.
It's just so wild.
We haven't even gotten to the lipstick lesbian necromancer.
I have like a whole thesis about Faust the Eighth.
Okay, we'll get there.
But yeah, like throughout this show, like the main problem that I kept running into was the fact that the voice acting was so garbage. I mean, like, and as we looked up at IMDb, like these are some like decent voice actors. I just don't think they were given any direction. Like, there's just it's so strange. It's like in Kingdom Hearts, like all the lines are either like there's too much space in between them, or like the tone is not right. All the lines are delivered in like just like a way that is like either way too confident or like way too corny.
I just picture Haley Joel Osment trapped in a fucking studio in a basement somewhere, having to keep going. They put bugs in him. It's just until he gets it right. Jesse McCartney is in Kingdom Hearts. Mark Hamill, a respectable man, is in Kingdom Hearts.
There is a line from Shaman King that I was like, oh, this is why I'm into Kingdom Hearts, because it's like literally like Yo's like, no, you might have his body, but his heart belongs only to himself. And I was like, oh yeah, this is why I like Kingdom Hearts, because I was able to take this show and like be like, yeah, this makes sense. His body may belong to you, but his heart, that belongs to fucking the nobodies or whatever.
Oh my. It's all a big circle. I would be remiss as a fan of musical theater not to mention on air that Andrew fucking Rannells of Book of Mormon fame is in this. God, who is he?
He's Lenny, right?
He's Lenny, whose name is not Lenny, who is a Chinese character portrayed by an American doing the worst British accent I've ever heard.
It's so bad.
I don't have a good ear for accents, but I was like, that's an American dude.
There's this part where Yo like finally is able to beat Lenny because like Lenny's like a really cool and strong guy, and his accent literally sounds like, it can't be, we are defeated. It's just like, oh my god.
It does. He sounds like a bad impression of an Edwardian orphan. It's so much. All his sisters sound like that too. It doesn't get any better.
It's
Not one Brit.
So fucking good. I love the inexplicably British Chinese family.
Well, we haven't even gotten to Rio, who's a gang leader who sounds like he's from Spain, and I figured out why.
Okay.
It's because his name is Ryu, like R-Y-U, but they changed it to Rio, like
R-I-O.
Rio de Janeiro,
oh my
in the
God.
famously Spanish-speaking country of Brazil.
What in the fuck?
It's just the leaps are incorrect and long. It's bad.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean,
because
like, he's
gang
doing...
isn't Spanish!
No, yeah, he's the only fucking person with, like, it's not... It's like a bad it's not like South American or like Latino. It's like Spanish. Like,
which is weird because also Brazil's Portuguese.
Yeah,
they
like
speak Portuguese there.
So much is going on with that character. Like, I mean, he's like a pretty typical like kind of dumbass, but and like it falls in love with every woman, but also like
he's
loves
Kuwabara.
his hair. Yeah, he's another Kuwabara type, like, you know, the lovable dumbass.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, I don't know where his character arc goes, but there's, like, a weird amount of time that they spent on him in the first half of the show, which I did not understand in any way. Like, I don't think he's important to the story, but, like, they still gave him, like, 3 episodes to plot out his character arc.
He decided he was going to be a shaman way too late for him to be relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, because, you know, like, he is Kuwabara, right? Like, Kuwabara comes into all the spirit stuff later, too, and Yu Yu Hakusho. Like, he always has, a sense for it, but he doesn't get his cool sword or his white linen fucking trench coat that he wears for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, we don't see Rio for, like, he, like, provides commentary, basically, on the side of battle, and he's there for Anna to like bounce off of, but then he wasn't even there for the last fight for that anyway, because Anna was talking to the Native American referee the whole time.
Yes. No.
Anna, who was a Winry prototype. Like, it's all consensual.
Yeah, it's just, God, this show is just so many weird, like, you can see how, like, other characters from later animes, like, grow. Like, I don't think anybody was basing their fucking characters off of Shaman King archetypes, but, like, you can see how other animes did it better, and it's just like this show. I don't know how. Right, this is a podcast presumably about like things that we really deeply care about. I cannot express to you the level with which I was obsessed with Shaman King when I was in the 4th grade. Like, I went as Yo Asakura for Halloween one year. Like, I got a little bear claw necklace, and like I had a little plastic sword. And like. I promise you there's no pictures, but like I kept like having to explain to people, no, I'm a shaman, it's a thing, and they're like, what the fuck are you? And then like for as long as I like could realize that you could customize license plates, I had been like from like the ages 10 to about 14, I would say, I tried to figure out how to make the phrase boneyard crush my license plate. Like Faust the Eighth's signature move, and I was like, I could do BNYD, but that's like bone yid. I need an R in there, and then CRSH, maybe? No? And then like every time I would look out the window getting driven to my grade school, I'd be like, I could make this work, I swear. I was just obsessed with that show. Like I told you earlier, like I have 2 of the video games. I beat the GBA game multiple times. It was pretty good for its time. The PS2 one didn't age great, but that's okay. God, it is such a trip looking back at the stuff you loved as a kid and being like, you know, this isn't actually as good as I remember it being, but also like I have a weird soft spot for it.
And you know what? That's fine. I was sitting there the whole time and watching as an adult, and, you know, we were talking about like media that maybe isn't appropriate for kids, and I was like, it's not that this is inappropriate for kids, but there is a lot of talk of like murdering children coming from adults. Like, there are some life and death stakes here, and I'm sitting here like, if you watch this as a kid and you relate to the protagonist, it doesn't seem like anything because you're the hero, right? Like, you're projecting onto the hero, and you're like, yeah, naturally these bad guys want to come get me. But then for me, like, watching this as a 26-year-old, I was about to say 27, Jesus, Leyla, you have a couple more months, don't fucking, time has stopped for me. Watching this as a 26-year-old woman, I was sitting there like, you're hurting my sons, though. These are children. and you are hurting them. And I don't like that. And then you have to think about it. You have to be like, it's an anime, and that's not how this works. But, like, it's just weird watching it as an adult, and then you're also, like, because the only reason I even had time to focus on any of that is because I was so supremely confused by the pacing, which is genuinely all over the place. Like, Yo gets his spirit, and then nothing happens to upgrade their powers for like 10 episodes, and then all of a sudden he learns this new trick during his trial for the Shaman King tournament, and then he's like a prodigy at it, and I'm like, wait, but he was just stupid. What happened?
I mean, I think there's precedent for that in some like shonen shows where it's like, oh, I get it now. Hey, yeah, I'm great. But it was especially stark in this one, where it's literally like, there's 2 episodes. 1 episode, you're dumb as hell. Episode 2, oh, I got it, and I can do it perfectly, and there's just no problem. It's just incredible.
I feel like that, oh man, I have examples of how that's been disproven, but the one that's coming to the forefront is the show that must not be named, and like, we can't get into it.
I mean, we have to talk about Naruto at least once an episode.
No! No, we don't! No, we don't! I even made a note in the fucking outline that I wasn't allowed to bring it up as an example. Because it does take time to learn the Rasengan. It doesn't come
That's
right
true.
away.
So...
He fucks it up a lot.
In the vein of things that are not appropriate for children, we gotta talk about Faust the Eighth. So... Faust the Eighth is Yo's second opponent in the Shaman tournament, and I was obsessed with this man because I thought his superpower was so cool. He's a necromancer. They call him a boneyard sorcerer. He's a necromancer. Like, let's not beat around the bush.
He's straight up a necromancer.
He is the queerest coded character I've ever seen.
Coded?
No, because he's explicitly canonically straight because he's in love with his dead girlfriend. Like, his whole backstory is that, like, oh, his girlfriend, he's literally a descendant of Goatee Faust, which is hysterical. But, like, he just lived in this German village, and, like, he was in love with this woman who, worked at his dad's doctor's office or whatever. But, like, she was sick, so that's how he got to know her. And then one day, like, they were gonna get married. And then I guess she was shot in the head because, like, later, when he reveals her skeleton to them that he just has in his coat, he just pulls his dead girlfriend's skeleton out. There's like a hole in her head where she was presumably shot and killed. I believe that's how she dies in the manga, which is like extremely dark for a kid's show. And then like his whole, character arc is to resurrect his beloved and be with her forever or whatever. And like her physical body is his like spirit weapon, which is pretty weird. But the thing I remember most about Faust the Eighth is that in the manga, like in the anime, he kidnaps Morty and does quote unquote experiments on him to like make Yo mad. So he uses up all his ghost magic to, fight his bad skeletons. In the manga, Faust like vivisects Morty, and like it shows like his fucking intestines and shit, and it scarred me for like a literal week. I still like get queasy thinking about it because it is like they have like fucking like medical tools like opening his stomach, and I remember like the detail in the manga, and it like freaked me out so much that like I don't know, I don't know why I'm just so... I mean, that's definitely one of the morbid fascinations I have with this character, Faust the Eighth, but, like, his signature move, the Boneyard Crush, I thought was so dope, because it's just like, I'm gonna throw skeletons at you. Like, that's all it is. But, like, I don't... This is another example of, like, I don't know why I'm a straight person, because this is the gayest man I've ever seen in my life. And I was obsessed with him when I was 10 years old.
Listen... The man we saw in the flashbacks, I am willing to believe was a heterosexual. But something happened to Johann Faust the Eighth between his fiancée dying and being a bestitched lipstick lesbian.
Oh yeah, his best play is stitched on. I'm glad you caught that.
Mm-hmm. I even made a note in my notes. I don't remember what studio made this show where I want the author. Somebody hire me to write this spin-off. I want a spin-off where because this is an uncommon plot, right? A necromancer wants his dead lover back. Mm-hmm. I want the plot where the necromancer succeeds and brings his lover back. No repercussions, no like big mortal cost, like legitimately once in a lifetime, maybe horrible things led to it, but succeeds to bring back their loved one, and their life just picks up where it left off. I want the plot where that loved one looks at the person who brought them back and is like, you've changed, and deuces. And I want the story of them rebuilding their life, which for Johann Faust VIII, I think involves like a goth boyfriend of some sort.
I mean, he is the goth boyfriend, to be clear.
No, he's Scene. Let's fucking don't.
Okay,
no.
All right. Can you differentiate Scene and goth for me, please?
Yeah, this is Scene, and then let me think of a good example for you. Like Raven from from Teen Titans is a goth.
You were gonna say from That's So Raven, which was gonna be the hottest take of the year 2020. Layla's left the screen, everyone. Layla's just gone.
I was about to say that. I'm so sorry.
No, you're right, though.
But yeah, anyway. Yeah, I think it involves him and just like a tall MCR type. That rebuilding their life together, because that's gay Dracula. I mean, Dracula is gay. That's just Dracula now. That's a creepy motherfucker who was about to murder a child just to piss off another child.
Another child, yeah. Like that. I mean, that arc is extremely dark, and I mean, you've seen shonen shows. Faust gets redeemed somehow. I don't know how, but he becomes a good guy in the end, which is wild. But I mean, that wasn't even the darkest arc for me, because I think Pai Long, the Kung Fu guy. Pai
Long finding out he has been dead for 17 years was a lot for me, emotionally speaking.
Oh, yeah. So, English Chinese man's sister was gifted this martial artist. I mean, he's Bruce Lee, let's be clear. He's just Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
But, like, basically this is an alternate universe where, like, some Chinese gang lord basically, like, had Bruce Lee murdered and then, like, gave his body to his daughter to be used as a weapon. And, like, that is pretty dark, because, like, he's like, wait, no, hold on, I'm dead? What? Because, like, she's been controlling him with, like, a talisman, and, like, once that talisman gets destroyed, he, like, regains his consciousness, and he's like, wait, what? And then he becomes, like, a killing machine and tries to murder everyone. And I think the worst part about that arc was that, like, 5 minutes later, he's like, you know what? I'm actually okay not going to heaven, and I'm actually going to work with the person who kept me as a slave for several years. It's fine. I just, I'll be your guardian ghost, and I think that's complete horseshit.
It's complete horseshit. What else is complete horseshit is that I am looking up. I was just curious about Faust's voice actor, because I don't remember looking him up earlier when I was looking everyone else up, and I regret to inform you, I am kind of horny for his battle uniform in the manga. It looks like shit in the anime. Because I came to this, if you came to Kingdom Hearts by way of this shit, I came to Kingdom Hearts by way of 2000s JRPGs and Final Fantasy.
Listen, puberty hits you hard sometimes.
And then he became a lipstick lesbian,
yeah.
That man's a lesbian, Your Honor.
If there's an AU where Faust is like a trans person, I think that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, trans people weigh in. Do you claim him?
Trans people, do you want this necromancer? Do you want this
Do you claim this garbage? It's up to you.
We have lots of trash for you in the anime zone.
Oh, boy,
it's enough for everyone. This show is evidence of that. I mean, like, and then we were just going to talk about, like, other weird shows that, like, were on Toonami or Foxbox for me.
What the fuck is Foxbox?
Okay, Foxbox, Layla, is the programming block from, I would say, about 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, where kids who don't have cable have to watch their Saturday morning anime, but sometimes they get signed up for soccer and they don't get to see all of them. So Foxbox was like it's like the predecessor to Jetix. Do you know what Jetix is?
I know Jetix.
Okay, yeah, it's basically, that's what it was It's just the rebrand.
Okay. Because I've heard it brought up 4 times in the context of the show, and I've seen some anime. I have never heard of fucking Foxbox.
Yeah, like this is where like a bunch of weird obscure shows went, like Metabots fighting Foodons. Nope. Like, have you heard of any of that shit? Like, that's
I heard of Bobo.
That one was on Toonami, so that makes sense.
That one fucked.
That one was a wild, weird show. God, there's just, man, in the mid-2000s, they put fucking anything on television, or like, it's fine. It's fine. Anything. We just got, Pokemon was great. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a thing. Just put everything from Japan on here, throw it at the wall, see what sticks. These fucking dorks love that shit.
And you know what? For them, for a time, it fucking worked. And now that Toonami's back on Adult Swim, further proof that it worked.
Wait, is Toonami back for real?
Oh, Toonami's on Adult Swim now.
Oh, tight. Well, good for you, Toonami. I'm so proud.
Yeah, welcome back. We love you.
Welcome back. Uncancelled, finally.
Finally back from the fucking grave. Honestly, God bless Toonami. I don't remember what their programming is, but I'm pretty sure it's mostly anime. What were we talking about?
Just like weird shows that no one's ever heard of.
Oh, you know what's funny is, like, I feel like all my weird shows that no one's ever heard of have been just like magical girl clamp spin-offs, because for a time there was like the magical girl industry was really bustling, so like Princess Tutu is one of them.
Yeah.
What a fucking I feel about Princess Tutu probably not how you feel about Shaman King. I feel like I can't even think of anything. I feel like Inuyasha is my Shaman King, where I just like I've rewatched it. It's not good, but it's important to me. And I am going to watch the sequel, and it is coming out in October, and I don't care if it's bad. Like, it's, so, yeah, I can't believe I somehow fucking missed Foxbox. I think because we had cable, because that was the only thing my stepdad valued in life.
Great.
Was cable television and nice cars. But I feel like I missed Jetix, too. There was some point in my teenagerhood, I think when I was, like, 15, I was like, I'm done with anime. And then I turned 19, and I was like, I can't believe I donated all of my Death Note to the library. I was so mad at myself.
Oh, no, I definitely had that same thing. I was just like, oh, no, I'm 15, so I have to play Call of Duty now. And then I went to college, and I was like, oh, no one gives a shit about what you like anymore. So I was like, back to Pokemon. We'll start from the basics and work our way up.
Pretty fucking much, which, hey, like I said before, this is Ghost Pokemon, so I feel like it's a really great entry level.
I agree.
I was waiting for him to get more ghosts, though. Does he get more ghosts?
I'm almost certain he gets more ghosts. There's so many hints of things in that, like, opening, like, theme song sequence. The theme song rules, by the way.
It fucks. It's great. I love it. I actually listened to it multiple times.
I'm glad that you, because, like, I still remember that theme song, like, throughout my entire childhood. I was just like, this is the best fucking shit.
It's inspiring. It makes me want to move.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just, this show is, like, so wildly inconsistent. Like, there's, like, some really good lines. Like, our closing line was one of them. But, like, there's another one where they're talking about, like, oh, man, if you don't want to be pushing up daisies with the crew of the Titanic. And I was like, that's good writing, kind of. Like...
no, my favorite... Okay, if we're going to be talking about lines, we have to talk about Amidamaru's comic timing, because it's literally everything to me.
There's really funny.
He's so funny. There's a point where they're going to see the
Pylon movie.
The Bruce Lee movie, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know any names anymore. Morty's like trying to convince all of them to go, and Yo is like, okay, I'll get 3 tickets, it'll be my treat. And then Amidamaru, who is again a ghost, goes, don't forget to get an extra for me. And I'm like, why? You're a ghost!
Sure, you're a ghost.
And then there's another one where they're talking about the same movie earlier, and Morty's just like, well, you've never seen this movie? And Yo was like, sorry, bud, it came out before I was born. And Amidamaru just goes, at about 500 years after I died.
Like, the show has, like, it's much better than it has any right to be, but also, like, God.
But it's also plumb terrible.
Yeah, it's just... I can't. I don't even know. Like the whole like Spirit Bell thing. Like they give like to give their tournament matchups. They have a fucking Spirit Pager, and Yo's like an Oracle Bell, and Silva's like, we used to use wind spirits to ring actual bells, but now we're wireless. Like that's so good, and like I fucking didn't get that when I was 10.
And it's even funnier now because the technology they're referencing is outdated to us.
Oh yeah, no, I've never used a pager in my life.
I've never even seen one.
Oh my god.
The dialogue is something else.
There's some really, the dialogue really good or like incredibly terrible. Like there's one part where they're like talking about how he's gonna, I guess Rio is going to make like this girl happy or something. He's like, her laughter will be louder than the roar of 1,000 rushing winds. And I was like, man, shut the fuck up. What are you talking about?
I want to know what fucking weeb got away with that in the writer's room.
Yeah, no, there's some bad translations. Or maybe just bad writing from the author. I don't know. Maybe he's great. God. But, like, no, there's, like, that part where Amidamaru, like, Yo teaches Amidamaru about basketball, and, like, I just love the idea that, like, because they're talking about, like, they're like, oh, let's go get some ice cream, and then Amidamaru's like, oh, strawberry was my favorite flavor 600 years ago, and then I was just like, hold on, sir. One, Amidamaru apparently ate strawberry ice cream 600 years ago. Two, Yo taught him how to play basketball. And three, now Amidamaru regularly says he knows how to go to the hole and say, in your face, turkey.
I forgot about the in your face, turkey. I completely forgot. It's even in my notes. It's at the top of my notes. It's... And then I'm looking at my notes now, and 10 seconds later, Lenny slices a truck in half with no regard for human life. He's literally
just crossing the street. A truck is about to run him over. He just, like, cuts it in the fucking half for no reason. It's just like, what is this program?
I genuinely couldn't fucking tell you. It is bizarre. And it shocked me in many ways. But then there are some things that we talked about earlier that are just so comforting to return to. Like at one point, I even have a screenshot of it somewhere, but at one point, Anna stands up and her just like headscarf is like fanned out in that like very anime way. I'm like, oh, there's some trademarks.
Yeah.
This is a place I'm comfortable in. Clothes not doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. Just like splayed out everywhere. That was my biggest problem finding costumes for anime things, is that I could never get my hair so spiky or my clothes to just jut out at those weird angles.
Well, apparently, when Yo gets tired, his hair deflates. So
that's true. And when Rio gets horny, his collar shoots out. So it's God. This is,
you know,
I don't even like. This is an anime-ass anime, but like also it's like the worst and best examples of the genre. Like, God. I don't know.
It's why people hate dubs and why people hate anime at the same time.
That's fair. Yes, it is a perfect example of like why you wouldn't watch anime and why you hate like. I think I would have enjoyed this 20% more if I had subs. I think, just because the voice acting would have been not there.
Because the tweet announcing the reboot was very much like the author lamenting that they couldn't get the because there had been an earlier opportunity to reboot it. And the author was like, oh, we can't get the original voice cast. I'm like, were they good?
Like, hey, dog, are you sure about that?
Hey, dog, were yours good? Ours were... Andrew Rannells was there, but like... And then one of them went on to work in political dramas. Like, live action, like, was on House of Cards. Like, a named major character in House of Cards.
I mean, the guy who played Yo, you said.
Yeah!
Like, so, I don't... It's such a hit and miss. I mean, I could not recommend this show to anybody. Maybe the reboot,
except for me,
except for you, because we're in a hell contract. But
we are in a hell contract.
Yeah, I am extremely looking forward to the reboot. I'm so glad that you allowed me to indulge this weird esoteric childhood anime.
I mean, it made me curious about the reboot.
Yeah, like, I think the reboot will be very interesting to see, like, what they keep, what they change, like, whether or not they learned from the mistakes of 20 years ago.
That's, you know what, I literally thought about it. Somebody said 1990 was 30 years ago in, like, something I was watching, and I thought about that for a second, and I was like, oh my god.
Like, yeah, dog.
It was. Time just keeps...
Yeah, you turned 30 in, like, almost 3 years.
So do you! We have practically the same birthday.
I turned 30 in 4 years, thank you. I am young and full of life.
You're younger than me. It's a mess. Two Scorpios.
We're Scorpios. Yeah, we shouldn't have a podcast.
No, we shouldn't. It's you know what? We're doing our best. Everything is happening so much all the time.
It really is.
Yeah, time keeps marching. Speaking of time, I'm looking at our calendar here, and we don't have anything set for me to recommend to you. No, it's fine. I think it's time you watch Inuyasha.
All right. You know what?
I'm gonna curate that experience for you.
I'm ready.
It's probably gonna be the first, like, I'm gonna see what the first couple of arcs are like, but it's probably gonna be the first 10 episodes and the first 2 movies.
Okay, I can handle that.
Because it's a very long show and not particularly good, but I do want you to just meet everyone and kind of get the premise of the world, and then watch the second movie, which is a work of fucking art. But I think it's time. I think after this, I feel comfortable doing that for you.
Yeah, no, we know each other. We're gonna know each other so well after this experience.
It's gonna be certainly something, and then I think we should read Harrow the Ninth at some point.
Yeah, I'm just it's on hold for forever at my library. If I just don't have it by next week, I'll just buy it because I have to read that book.
Yeah, same. Lesbians in space are kind of everything to me. But anything else?
No, I don't think so. Let's do plugs.
All right. So I'm at LEYLSES on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram. My comic, Astro Heart Comic, is coming back September 24th. It's about sad, tender homosexuals. Well, sort of. You should read it.
Yeah, and it's great, and I'm looking forward to its return. You can find me on Twitter at AaronSXL. You can find the other podcast I do at MBMBF and me. We're going to talk about the John Legend version of the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical Jesus Christ Superstar tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be a chill time for 2 of us, and one of my other co-hosts who famously hates musicals is going to have a bad time. I also did an interview with Chloe Kinney. I'm going to put a link to that interview in the show notes, but it's a little bit about myself and my ambitions to become a writer, where I also drop a link to both of our shows, Mortified and My Brother's Friend and Me. So if you could boost Chloe's views, I would appreciate it. It was really nice of her to interview me.
That was nice. That's dope. Well, congratulations on your interview. All the fame you're racking up, I'm afraid it's going to go to your head.
Oh, it's already gone to my head. It's swelling before you.
Oh, Boise, Idaho.
Oh, boy. Oh, well, Leyla, what do we say when things don't go our way here?